Welcome to the regular meeting of the Regional Governing Board of the Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District. It's Monday, October 19th, and it's 10:07. Call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone who is in attendance and ask at this time if there are any public comments, as we welcome with those. Mr. Lawler will handle the order in which people show up, but I welcome you all and look forward to hearing from you.
If there is public comment, I ask that you raise your hand or indicate it with the icon, or also put a message in the chat window. The chat is down to the bottom of your screen, and I will go in order of who I see first, and that could be a little bit different depending on what device you might be on. Okay. Christy?
Hi, excuse me. Hi, my name is Christy Papoon. I'm a Bennington resident. And several months ago, I started observing inappropriate comments by Ed Letourneau of your board, and I started recording them. And as you all know, recently, these have come to light to the community as well. And I want to applaud the board's effort at asking Mr. Letourneau to resign. It's my understanding that he has not done so yet. So I'm here today asking you to please use your power that you have. I know in your bylaws, you have the power to remove him from the board by vote, and I am requesting that you do that as soon as possible. His continued presence on your board is unacceptable to the community, and I guess that's about it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to voice my opinion and the opinion of many other community members. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person in line is Laura Payne.
I thank you for this opportunity to address the Ed Letourneau situation. I'm just going to read a couple of remarks. There is no world where Letourneau's comments are okay. It is wrong that he occupies his place of power, making decisions regarding the education of our young people. Here are some of his comments. I suspect most of the blacks here have a record, and a court ordered them not to leave instead of serving prison time. He also said, and for blacks, they are pulled down by all the black guys that keep knocking up their women and don't marry them. Don't you get? When a young woman remarked, what about the women that don't have the means to just pack up their lives and move somewhere safer? Ed responded, stop whining. If women learned how to say no and keep their legs closed, there wouldn't be an issue. This community has also heard from MAU's own football team when they authored a powerful letter to the editor condemning Letourneau's comments. We have to listen to them. Please vote immediately to remove Ed Letourneau from this position he now holds, position of power. If the language in your organizational documents and bylaws do not allow for the removal of this member, language should be added immediately. Thank you.
The next person requesting to speak is Mia Schultz.
Hi, thanks for having us. I have 3 kids in the district, all of them in high school, all of them black and brown kids. So I'm urging you, no, I'm demanding that this board takes care of my kids. I am demanding that this board makes sure that my kids are safe when they go to school. By allowing him to continue to make decisions for my kids and the safety of my kids means that you do not care about my kids. I am a tax-paying citizen. I am important, and my kids are important. And what Ed Letourneau has done has commit violence against the children in this community. They saw those words, they hear those words, and you, if you remain complicit, they will hear your message that you do not care about them. It no longer becomes about Ed Letourneau, it becomes about the people on this board who have power to remove him from power. Thank you.
There are 4 other members identified in the Zoom meeting. If you wish to speak, please indicate it in the chat window or by unmuting yourself. Is there anybody else? I'll call by name Mr. David Payne. Okay.
Yes, my name is David Payne. And as my wife mentioned, we're deeply disturbed about this behavior of this board member, of who I have a very difficult time even using his name. He's been offensive, not only to Black students or people of color, but also your white students. When he disparages the education that the high school is given, that the teachers are not doing their job, the hatred in a format that he used, such as Facebook, is a huge issue. And one thing you have to understand, he represents you guys. He represents the board. And again, as Mia mentioned, if you allow this to continue to happen, we lose faith and we'll lose faith with the board members. And you're all complicit if you do not address the situation. So my comments are from speaking for African Americans, people of color, that this is unacceptable. Thank you.
There are 2 participants who have dialed in. One phone number ending in 359, if you wish to speak.
Yes, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, yes, this is Sarah Parent. I'm on the Bennington Select Board. I'm calling in representing myself personally right now. I thank you for asking for the resignation of Ed Letourneau. I would like to right now ask you for the removal of him. That's all for now. Thank you.
There's one more telephoned in guest ending in 094, if you wish to speak. Okay, hearing nothing. Gene Connor. The only other member of the public that I see is identified as Jeannie's iPhone. If you wish to speak. John, I do not see anyone else requesting to make public comments. So I'm turning the meeting back over to you. John, you're muted.
You can see I'm not very good at this technology stuff. And I would just like to say thank you for your comments, and also ask that we're going to go to executive session now so that we can hear from the rest of the board about their impressions of what they've heard from you, and look at some possible solutions for this issue and so forth. And we'll get back to you after that meeting. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Will there be an update after you come out of executive session? Like, should we hang out here until you come out? Or how will you let us know what your decision is?
Well, we can tell you, we'll let you know about a discussion, that which we can let you know about when we're finished. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm not sure how long that will be,
Okay,
but we will let you know.
thank you.
For process for those that are board members and members of the public, what will happen next if the board votes to go into executive session is I will create a breakout room for the board members, and also a breakout room for CAT TV, and many members of the public will be placed back into the waiting room. You're not being kicked out of the meeting; you're just simply be in the waiting room. As soon as executive session is over and the board comes back into full session, you'll be brought back into the meeting, whether you're here by phone or by computer or whatever way you're in. So we won't lose you. I can't speak on behalf of the board of how long executive session will be, but just know that while you're in that waiting room, the meeting is still active, and we will let you back in as soon as the board is done.
Thank you.
John, do you want to take a vote to go into executive session?
Yes. Can we have
I need to
motion?
make a motion first. I make a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second? All in favor, raise your right hand, please. When we move to go into executive session, Michael will create the breakout rooms, and those get started as soon as that is set.
Yes, just give me a couple minutes. It's a little bit of a process, but it shouldn't be more than a minute or two. Okay, thank you for everyone's patience. Sometimes getting, when you do breakout rooms and get them put out into waiting rooms, getting everyone back together can be a little bit of a challenge, but it looks like everyone that was waiting is back here. So I'm going to turn it over to you, the chair, Mr. McConnell.
All right, so do I need to make a motion to adjourn that special session before I start in this one? Or can we just go ahead and pick it up from here? My Robert's rules are not that great.
You just need to state that you're back in the open session.
All right, okay. So we're back in open session after a significant discussion. What we've decided to do is to first of all inform you that we have already asked Mr. Letourneau for his resignation, but we have not received a response to that yet. So the next step for us would be, first of all, that we as a board unanimously condemn the language and the ideas that he presented in his texts and emails. The second thing is that we were going to, having consulted with our legal consultant, we have decided that what we must do is to, because we don't have, or it doesn't appear that we have the power to remove him from the board without going through first to the state board and the attorney general, that we will move to them to see what the next step is. We still wish to have Mr. Letourneau either resign or be removed, but we have to go through the legal steps in that process. And so we're going to take it next to the Department of Ed and the Attorney General. And we're also moving to a meeting to 2 weeks from now, so that we can deal with it as quickly as possible. Once we have some, hopefully we'll have some information from the Attorney General at that time. Is there anything else that we need to report and to vote on with regard to this? Mike or anybody?
John, I thank you for those comments, and I just want to be clear and unequivocal here that our board unanimously condemns this hate speech, and we believe it's harmful to the community, to the students. It's the antithesis of what we stand for and what our code of conduct is. And so to that end, we intend to move as quickly as possible to go through the proper legal channels, but to move as quickly as we can towards removing him from the board. And I just want to state that as clearly as I can.
We need to have that. We need to have a vote by the board here,
Right.
to confirm what Mike is saying, that the board, in support of the statement that we condemn what has been taking place, need to vote it here.
Okay, so with regard to the hate speech that has been recorded, we ask that the board consider condemning that language and the ideas expressed. But that would be the first thing. Can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
And can we get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. So we have a unanimous condemnation of the language and so forth. And we need also a motion to take the next legal step, which is to get the the State Board of Education, Secretary of Education, and the Attorney General to advise us on our next steps.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? This is also unanimous. So that,
In the chat window, which folks are asking about the date and time of the next meeting, and I believe that we discussed that would be Monday, November 2nd. Is that correct?
that's correct.
At
Yes,
10
we're moving it up so that we can address this as quickly as possible.
Right.
I was actually, are you going to put those requests into the Board of the Education and Attorney General today? Because I would like to follow up and support your request with them as well. So once you've sent it, will there be a notification process to the public?
Yeah, I think we can do that. We'll get a letter into mail today regarding it, and if you want to pass a letter of support on at that point to the Department of Education and the Attorney General, you may.
Thank you. You're sending it via mail or email? Sorry.
I think probably we should send it by mail, the certified mail, so that we know that they get it and all that good stuff, and it gets responded to.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other suggestion regarding that?
I don't know, whether it's email or mail. Email is just as fast as voicemail. I mean, and they can do all the certifications right on email if you want to do that. But it takes the time today to get the thing together in the office to be able to send to the proper people. So you won't be getting it out today, I don't think.
So your suggestion is to email it as soon as it's ready?
I think that can happen. And Mike is once you get it, you're going to look at it. Do we need to let whoever needs first before we send it out publicly to everybody? And I think it can happen email.
All right.
And John, and the rest of the board and community, I will work with the board chair and as the superintendent, ensure that communication happens with the Agency of Education and the Attorney General, and get that to them forthwith.
All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. We'll then move on to the consent agenda for today. We have the minutes from the full board meeting of September 14th. Are there any questions or corrections or changes that need to be made?
I'll move it. So move. Both accept the minutes on this. The consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, payroll warrants, number 1010 and 1013.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And vendor warrants,
So
1011 and 1012 and 1014.
So
Second.
moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cash flow report and revenue and expenses.
Did we vote to accept the minutes?
Yeah, we did vote to accept the minutes, yeah. I just wondered if there was a cash flow report this morning or whatever.
That's
I have no-
FYI.
Any committee reports? Oh, I'm sorry. There you are, Ben. What do we, go ahead.
I was going to say the cash flow and the typical reports for the local budget and the adult ed budget, those were in the Dropbox as well. So if there were any questions on that, they were accessible to you about a week ago in Dropbox.
I have one just to bring your attention to one little typo. The third line down, it says miscellaneous, and it adult has an extra letter in it.
Okay, I will let the treasurer know. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay, committee reports. Have any of the committees met?
None.
No? Any other committees? All right, action item. Oops, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There were no other committee reports, John.
No other committees, okay. Action items, the advisory nominations for CTSO, student organizations.
Yes, do you want to take them all? I'll take them all at once or individually.
All at once, please.
Okay, so you have nomination for Lori Wright as our DECA CTSO advisor. For those who are on, our CTSOs are our student organizations, stands for Career and Technical Student Organizations. They're our equivalent of sports clubs, if you will. And so DECA is the first one. The second one is for HOSA, which is our medical professions, that is Kathy Slade. Also a co-advisor for Skills USA, Jennifer Morgan Hall. Co-advisor for Skills USA, Mr. James Gully. And our ProStart advisor, Chef Daniel Jackson of our culinary program. FBLA advisor, Kristen Barrett. And that's all.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Superintendent's report, Michael.
We have one more action item.
Oh, I'm sorry, upgrade on the server, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so in your Dropbox paper packet, whichever you have, there is a bid sheet comparison for server upgrades. It's a laundry list of things. They're very long. This did go out to bid, and we were only able to receive the one quote, which was from SimQuest, which is who we've been utilizing for the last several years. They're the only one that bid on the project. The scope is quite intense if you look through it. It's certainly not just a swap out of a machine or two. It's a complete network upgrade. This happened approximately 5 or 6 years ago, and it's in our cycle, and it's budgeted for this school year. So we actually hope to get it done this summer, and that didn't happen. So we're bringing it to you today with the recommended bid to SimQuest for $12,170.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, Michael, sorry.
Well, thank you for everyone that's here today, including members of the public. I have to tell you that I would joke and tell you that we've been bored here at school, but that's really not true. It has been a very intense last 4 to 5 weeks of getting students back here for in-person learning as authorized by this board back in August, that giving me the operational authority to bring students back as least necessary and safe to do so. We have had students back in the building for approximately 4 weeks. Starting the week of September 21st, we bring back our year 2 students. And to tell you, we were a little apprehensive, as being honest, how that would go. And things went very well the first day, and they went even better the second day, and even better the 4th day, and even better the 5th day. We have quite a routine down in the morning. I'll tell you that it doesn't look like anything you've seen before. Actually, Mr. McDonald was here earlier today and took a look at some of our operations, and it's very different. We meet students out front in the morning. There's stenciled lines they stand on 6 feet apart. They also move into our other staging area where it's out of the weather. They're temperature checked. They're given green stickers that say they've been screened, and they go directly to their classroom, and that's where they stay for the 2 to 2.5 hours that they're here. I will tell you, students are very excited to be here, and it's very exciting for us to see them be here. It certainly isn't in full in person. We are very much in a hybrid model of bringing back students slowly, and it's been going very well. I'm very confident in our operations and in the safety protocols that we've put in place and what we're doing. Does that mean that we're never going to have a case of COVID or have anyone sick? Of course not. I mean, that's unrealistic. But we have every precaution in place and mitigation strategy, as the state would call it, to help prevent the spread of not only COVID-19, but other infectious diseases. As a reminder for you, all of our buses and vehicles were upgraded last month with medical grade HEPA air purifiers. Our buses and vehicles are cleaned and sanitized after every single run that has students on them. We're currently running at less than half capacity on each of our vehicles for transportation purposes. And I'll tell you that we've never transported so many students in so many directions before in order to get kids here to this campus. With Mount Anthony not being able to open with their remediation projects and other things they're working on, we rely heavily on the standard transportation from DUFOR to get students here. And that is not currently happening because MAU is not open for in-person instruction. So we are going and getting kids all over the place and bringing them here, including contracting with DUFOR one bus for the Pownell run, because we physically don't have the space or the capacity or drivers to make that happen. And so starting this week, all of our year 1 programs return, which actually starts tomorrow. Some in A groups and some in B groups. It's a particular challenge this year. We always want full classes, and it's probably the worst year to have full classes because we have to split them in 2. We have A groups and B groups and A days and B days. And I can tell you in the office here, if anyone has to hear the word A day, B day, hybrid, asynchronous, synchronous, or whatever, we're going nuts with it. But our teachers are doing a very good job. Very high compliance rate when students are here with mask wearing, and a lot of hand washing, staying where they're supposed to. Kids and students don't roam around the building. We have a very staged entrance to the building and a very staged exit strategy as well. Students do not congregate in the hallways. They are assigned to certain vehicles and certain buses that have assigned seats. They're assigned seats in classrooms. Every chair and desk is 6 feet apart. If the classroom's not big enough, those classrooms are moved into the shop. So for example, building trades and forestry have a relatively small classroom. Those classrooms were moved out into their shop space. So, you might see 14 or 15 chairs out in a shop and 15 or 16 tables out in a shop, spread out 6 feet apart, but that was not possible in the classroom. It has been challenging, to say the least, to get students here, but it feels really good to have students here. I see in the chat windows it was some parents' first day today with student in our building, and we're certainly happy to have them back in this very uncertain time. I have to give a shout out to every member of the team that works here at Southwest Tech. We have been stretched beyond belief, and to sort of make all this stuff happen. And we're not looking for a thank you at all, just telling you that it's been taxing, and it's our job, and we all have learned a new skill set, including taking temperatures and delivering lunches and scheduling bus runs, and you name it. We've kind of figured it out to try to do. So it's very, very challenging, but we are doing well, and I'm happy to report that. By the end of next week, we will have all of our year 1 students back on a rotating schedule, all of our year 2 students back, which they've been back on a rotating schedule. What we're not able to accommodate is our intro classes, which are primarily designed for freshmen and sophomore students. Those are all Mount Anthony students, and we just don't have the capacity to get them all here. They are doing remote learning and project-based learning. Those are only semester-long classes, so those classes are more than half over at this point, and they've been doing very well. It is a huge challenge to try and replicate, of course, our shops over Zoom and over Google Classroom. You just can't do it. But from what I let the chairman chime in to what he saw today, but kids are here working, and they're doing a great job. And we are all, again, I feel very confident in our planning and our safety protocols that we have in place. It's a very different experience here at school. There is still no visitor policy, with the exception of vendors or essential folks that like board members to come in and sign documents and things like that. It's very, very locked down, if you will, about who's allowed in and out of the building. And that is to help with contact tracing. One of the things that we're required to do by the Agency of Education is develop what's called line lists, and those are who has been where for how long, who they've been in close contact with, and close contact is defined as 15 minutes in a space 6 feet or less. So there's a lot of documentation that goes with this. In the event that there is a positive case of COVID, we are required to provide the Department of Health all sorts of information on who they can contact, et cetera. So that has not happened yet here. It has happened around us in other school districts. It is bound to happen here. We can't say it's never going to happen. So, what's different from before is, schools don't necessarily have to shut the entire operations down in the event of a positive case or 2. That is done in conjunction with the Department of Health and the Agency of Education, because perhaps it only involves one wing of the school or one classroom. And if those students were contained, it doesn't mean we have to close all 3 floors of the campus or shut down our operations. We may have to, we don't know. But things have gone better than I had expected. Coming into this, and teachers are glad to have the kids back in the building. And I don't want to put Meg on the spot, but I'm going to. So Meg, could you just chime in a little bit about the kids being back and what you're seeing? And you're muted, Meg.
They are definitely excited to be here. I know that one of the teachers made a comment about kids saying like that they're genuinely excited to be here and so happy to be back at school. You know, and walking through the classes and the labs, the kids are fully engaged. You know, they're getting right to work. You know, and usually during a regular school year, if Mike or I walk into a classroom, they all kind of stop and look, and but they're not even noticing us walking into the classroom because they're so engaged in, you know, the hands-on respect of it. Some of the students who have been late in the past, they are coming on time, and again are just really excited to actually be getting up in the morning. You know, gives them a sense of purpose, belonging, and you know, they're here to learn a certain skill set. And you know, you can do that remotely, but you know, we all know that in our programs here, the students learn best either hands-on or can relate to it better when they're actually doing it in a hands-on learning experience, and that's what, you know, we've been able to provide to them. So, but Mike is right. I mean, we are stuffing lunches and breakfasts. We are doing bus routes. We're doing temperature checks, and you know, sanitizing hands and asking questions that we never had to ask in the past. But you know, it's a team effort. It's definitely a team effort, and I think the kids see what's going on also, and I think they feel more comfortable being here, knowing that, you know, we're taking everything seriously. And you know, yeah, it's definitely different, but it's a great energy to have the kids back.
Yes, thanks, Meg. It really is. And you know, I don't want to bore you with the details of scheduling. You know, we had to come up with create a calendar for ourselves and for the teachers to even look at what day is what and who's coming from what school. It's that, you know, that's that crazy. If you said to me 9 months ago, 10 months ago, that this year we'd be, you know, having a check-in station out front and doing all these temperature checks and health screenings and hand sanitizer, I would never have believed it for a minute. But I do, you know, I want to assure everybody that each classroom has plenty of supplies, both in cleaning supplies, sanitation supplies. We have a healthy supply of face masks and face coverings, whether disposable or reusable. For students that don't have them, it's been very few that hasn't had them, but we have them for them. We actually have another order on right now for another 500 face cloth coverings that hopefully be here tomorrow for our returning year one students. The only a quick funny, I know our meeting's gone longer today because of the executive session, but so the first round of face masks that we handed out, they were white, and we had our logo put on them, the new Southwest Tech logo. And it's funny, the kids that are in some programs, like, we're getting white masks, like, we're full of grease and dirt and everything. So you're handing us these pristine white masks. So the second round of masks that we ordered them in, I forget what Nicole called them, antique black or something, I don't know. So they look cleaner. It's funny, the things that we now pick up on. You know, I never really thought about, you know, giving white colored masks to students that might, you know, get them really dirty in forestry or automotive or whatever. So it's very interesting. But I want everyone to rest assured that we're doing well, and I hope that we continue to do well. It is certainly, you know, not for lack of planning. So on the financial front, I can let Becky chime in here, but we have applied for some coronavirus relief funding from. Thank you to the folks upstate who helped get the regional career centers on board with getting some of that money. We're requesting approximately $64,000 to $66,000 in reimbursement costs for expenses incurred from March until through December. Governor Scott has made available to the tech centers in Vermont something called GEER funding, GEER. It's the governor's emergency education relief. About $4.8 million that he has designated to career and tech centers based on two forms of a calculation, one on broadband availability and the second poverty level. And so for our school, we are receiving approximately $245,000, which is primarily designed to be used to upgrade equipment, infrastructure, IT needs. I'll give you an example. More tools in building trades, for example. So there's less sharing of tools and less sharing of hand saws and less sharing of computer equipment and more textbooks. I mean, the money it's a lot of money, but it won't go as far as we think, unfortunately. But we're very appreciative of it. And we are working now. The application is supposed to be open in a couple of days for us to apply for that year funding. And my understanding is it's going to be a very short turnaround window for approval. So we have everything ready to go, just kind of waiting for the application to open up. So there's about $300,000 that's coming our way to help with this COVID relief. And when Becky totaled up the expense that we've incurred since March just to keep operating the school in this COVID environment, even remotely, I was surprised at how much it actually had cost us. So Becky, do you want to add anything to that or fix something I misstated?
No, I think you did a great job. I mean, we have submitted or will be submitting the CRF today that opened up to us. Other schools already submitted the Corona Relief Fund if they were not a tech center. Due to the amendment to that, it allowed us to now be able to submit for funding. And therefore, the 3 tech centers that are kind of regional tech centers, it finally opened up for us, so we are submitting them. The GEERS funding, the nice thing about that is it actually is allocated to spend that money from now until August or September of 2022. So that's some long-term planning of what impacts we could have with COVID. Whereas the CRF funding, we had to spend the money by December of this year. So that's the difference between the two. So, that they're anticipating obviously that COVID isn't going away right away. And how is it impacting schools and funding? And, we're very grateful for the opportunity to have this extra funding coming our way to be able to keep our kids safe and be able to bring them into the building safely and have the supplies we need so we can do that. So if there are any questions, certainly feel free to ask, but that's kind of a recap of those 2 funding sources.
John, that pretty much ends my report. I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed about what we've been doing, where we're at with staging students into the campus or onto the campus rather. And I do want to note that this week on Wednesday, you're going to see the building closed. We are having some HVAC work done in the office area. Impacts all the office and the front entranceway. So there'll be no one will be here on Wednesday. So if you drive by and see the ghost town, that's why. We can't be in the building while they're doing the work. And we hope to have that done by Thursday and get back into full swing with our kids again starting Friday. So Nicole Sauer, who is our outreach coordinator, she has a term this year. It's called pivot. And that's what we're learning to do, pivot every minute. It seems like we pivot and turn on a dime. And I really, why you can't be here in the building with us all, to see the amount of teamwork that I knew we had, but to really see it pressed into action even harder is very rewarding. I think you won't find a single person here working within their job description. Everyone's working outside of it, quite frankly, and it's working fine. I'll just give you an example today. We had this board meeting, which is very important. But usually Meg and myself are doing other things like distributing lunch and getting kids on buses. So, I had it muted today so you didn't hear it, but Rob Bonnie, that's why he's not at the meeting. He's like, I'll just pitch in and I'll get lunch out today and we'll do the delivery. And everyone pitches in, and that is what is so refreshing. And I just can't speak enough about what we're doing here at the center. And I'm very proud of where I work. I'm very proud of the people that I work with. And I'm very proud of our students who are happy to be back here. And it's also nice to see your faces, whether even though it's over Zoom. We do enjoy being back in the building and seeing each other. But it is different. You notice Meg, myself, Becky, and John we're unmasked because we can be. We're all alone, in an office space right now. John's actually he has to come in today, and he's in what we call breakout room 17. That we officially named that this morning. We're required to have an isolation room in our school in the event that a student or someone becomes ill. And I said, where am I going to put John on Monday? So that's where it is. And I think he can attest to a very stark room that only has a few things in it as required by the AOE and the Agency of Health. So, but anytime we're outside this office or offices, we are masked up. So if two of us are meeting in a small space, we have our masks on, and it's a little bit different. I've kind of adopted the philosophy of knock at the door, wait, and make sure the person in the classroom has a chance to put on their face covering, and it's just being respectful for each other's health. I'm responsible for your health, you're responsible for mine, and that's kind of the philosophy that we've here at school. And I really thought we'd have a lot more problems with lack of mask wearing, and we don't. It is required by the Agency of Education. It's not an option on school campuses, and it seems to be the new fashion accessory. Find a mask that matches your outfit for the day, and it's a new fashion statement. So, you should see some of the ones that students have. They're all appropriate. There's just so many different kinds and colors and shapes and everything else out there. So, although I'm pretty loyal to this one that I got in the mail, everyone knows about here at school. They were trying to get me to buy like 1,000 of them, and they were too expensive. But I really like it. It's my favorite mask, so I take it home and wash it every day and wear it the next day. So anyway, it's different. I want to be respectful of your time. We're coming up upon noon, and this normally is not how long our meetings go, and I know that. But I thank you for everyone's time. And John, that's all I have. I'm gonna be quiet now.
All right, I just want to say that took brief tour that Michael took me on, all that he talked about with regard to precautions and markings and all of the kinds of things that are necessary. Man, it was spot on. It really was. It was beautiful to see, and it was good to see the students in the classrooms, and they were busy and seemed enthusiastic. I really enjoyed that part of it as much as I think a couple of the teachers pointed out that it's been a real treat because the kids feel like we've gone out of the way to make sure that they get everything that they need, and so they're real excited about being here, and really, and that's the staff. The staff, Michael and the rest of the crew here. Have done a great job of getting this together. And I won't go on any farther. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention and so forth today. I appreciate it, and job well done. Thank you.